once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Championship Series Global Finals. Nice look into the life of Stats, an esteemed Korean player who likes to bring his teammates in on his whining sessions.
Wow.
Who doesn't, right? I mean, this is StarCraft, the hardest game in the world. You know what I like about Stats' story is that his progression is the same way he plays the game, slow and steady. It's taken him 10 years of hard defensive work to become this defensive monster of a Protoss. And that's, for me personally, that's like what I really appreciate. Sometimes we get these guys that pop up in 2-3 years, they just become a god, right? And it's like they did it really quick. But someone like Stats that actually persevered for this long and finished #1 in the standings, even over Innovation in Korea, got my respect there.
Yeah, and he's just such a lovely person about the entire time. And I thought that video did a really great job of kind of capturing what is so pleasant and just kind about him. He's just a soft, gentle, beautiful little soul. And it's nice to have him in the Korean community. And he's, like, when we went over there, actually, a lot of times Koreans are a little bit intimidated by non-Koreans because they don't, we don't speak the same language. It's a little bit hard to communicate. But with him, he's just like, he'll like go over and like shake your hand and massage your shoulder, like, hi, so nice. And you're like, wow, you're just like a little cloud of lovely.
It's really nice to get another perspective on the players and be reminded that we're all humans. We all like playing video games.
Except Innovation.
That's where the passion starts, except for Innovation.
Yeah.
He was manufactured very precisely to just win games of StarCraft. Of course, Stats is in Group A. That is where we are going to start things off today, and we've got a nice little video to show you about our players competing in Group A.
#1 overall seed Stats enters the global finals on the back of the best year of his career. With GSL and SSL championships in hand, Stats looks to punctuate his year with a grand finale at BlizzCon. Lauded by his peers as one of the best Terran players outside of Korea, SpeCial has struggled to bring his skills to bear in crucial matches. Playing in the most important tournament of his life, SpeCial has a chance to show the world what he's truly capable of. TY is the most experienced pro gamer competing at the global finals. Armed with some of the fastest hands in the game, TY has already won the year's 2 biggest prize purses at WESG and IEM. He can make it 3 for 3 with a victory at BlizzCon. As an exemplary student of the game, Snoot honed his skills following a disappointing showing at last year's global finals, and returns to take another shot at winning StarCraft's ultimate prize.
It's an awesome group, a lot of interesting stories surrounding some of these players with their interesting matchups. 2 of the foreign players that were not dominating, but were consistently getting high up results versus two monsters of Korea, and perhaps the best Korean player we have here.
It's a great group. For me, it is very unfortunate for the non-Koreans in particular that, like, Snoot against any other Terran, any other Protoss, I think he has a really good chance. And yes, I mean, even like an Innovation and some of these other players, certainly he wouldn't prefer to play an Innovation, but TY specifically wants the game to go to the late game and is more than any other Terran I think out there is very comfortable with it, and that is entirely Snoot's game plan. Snoot does not do a rush. He doesn't, I mean, yeah, we've seen that every once in a while, but in a best of 3, with this kind of stuff on the line, I don't see him really breaking away from his true strength, which is to get in that late game and be invincible. But TY is like the one Terran out there that is the guy that breaks the invincible.
Yeah, it's a bad matchup for Snoot. I agree with you on that. If there is a bad matchup for him, it is in TY, so that's kind of unlucky. And then on the other hand, you look at Major, right, or SpeCial, of course, and changing his ID all the time. But this guy, he's actually got a huge amount of experience. He's been playing RTS at a very high level for about 10 years now. He's been one of the top players, and actually he and Snoot would probably both be champions if not for Neeb. Right. These are guys that just, like, Neeb kills him, and that's it. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, Neeb is a step above all the other guys, but we can kind of consider these guys to be championship level, kind of like a laser,
Absolutely.
right? But in this matchup in particular, these guys played previously, and they've had some pretty close games. And, I mean, when you look at it, Stats, when he beats SpeCial, a lot of the time, it's just shutting down a lot of aggressive plays from SpeCial, because SpeCial plays a very Korean style of TVP. He's all over the place. He's dropping everywhere. He's using his multitasking skills and his high APM to outdo you. But when you bring that up against Stats, who is just a brick wall of defense, it's not going to work.
And that's where like a Terran that's more of like a strong push style, kind of a singular attack type of thing would be better in position to take on a Stats, but that's not what SpeCial does.
So it's fair to say going into this group then that Stats and TY are very strong favorites. Who would you say is the bigger underdog then? Is it Snoot or is it SpeCial?
I think SpeCial for me. I could see. I don't know. I Snoot versus SpeCial. If that happens, I think I favor Snoot. And then after that, who comes out from Stats and TY? It's hard to say, but as long as it's not TY, you still give Snoot this like crazy chance against Stats. It's not great. He is the underdog, but it's okay. Whereas for me, SpeCial, and I'm not trying to, like, SpeCial deserves to be here, guys. Give him the $14,000 check. He had a great year. But for me, one of the big signs, too, was throughout the year, SpeCial was stronger earlier on and got weaker as the year went on. Now, could he have got something special going for this BlizzCon? I certainly hope so. But from what I've seen, it's not, I don't have a lot of confidence that he's the guy to come out of this stacked group.
Yeah, he hasn't, like, you look at Snoot, and he's been the top foreigner or one of the top foreigners for so many years. He has so many tournament wins. He has infinity experience on the stage, more so than some of our Korean players. But you look at SpeCial, and even though I think he's of a very similar level, and I think that he's of a level where he can beat all these guys, we haven't seen him deliver this against top-tier pros offline.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a little bit of an issue that he still needs to overcome. And I'm not sure that we've even really seen him completely peak yet, even though he's been playing for so long. I feel like this has been an upswing of the year, and I agree with you, Jeff. He kind of fell off a little bit. His results went down a bit, but I mean, I've spoken to him about it. He just feels like he had some off series. It wasn't necessarily he was getting worse or he was slumping. It's just like, oh, you know, that TVZ I just played at WCS, I feel terrible about it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And I mean, SpeCial sitting with going into this tournament with a 62% TVP win rate. He got stonewalled a few times by Neeb in the WCS circuit this year. We just saw, I think the last highlight they showed was the one time when he finally overcame Neeb. But do we like his Terran versus Protoss?
I gotta say though, a lot of the stats you're gonna see, unfortunately, I think you can kind of throw them away. BlizzCon's a different animal. It's the biggest stage, which is a big deal, but a lot of that percentage was built up playing the WCS bracket, or system, excuse me, where you're not facing against stats, you're not facing an innovation. So it doesn't do much for me. It's more about how do you perform here and how have you performed. Now, as Artosis talked about, SpeCial's been playing against Koreans a long time, so he is one of the uniquely equipped players to deal with this, but Stats is like, I think if you were to ask him, it has to be one of his worst opponents possible. It's the best Protoss on the planet.
All right. Any final thoughts on this matchup, Artosis?
I think that Stats obviously is favored, probably will take it, but like you were saying, Jeff, if we see like strong singular attacks out of SpeCial, if he can kind of stay alive and abuse the defensive nature of Stats.
A Widow Mine's a Widow Mine, man.
Dude, you get a good Widow Mine off, or
it kills 9 probes.
You know, you catch that first Oracle that's coming over, you make a bunch of Liberators, and Stats is busy making Colossus or something, you can pull a victory right there.
Absolutely.
All right, it's an uphill battle for our Mexican Terran player. We'll have to see if he can make things happen. Our first match is about to get underway. Ladies and gentlemen, it is SpeCial versus Stats.
What's up, guys? Tasteless in Rotterdam bringing you game number 1 of the WCS Global Finals, Stats versus SpeCial. Definitely a match where we have an underdog. I've known SpeCial for a long time. I'm rooting for him, but it's going to be tough.
It really is going to be tough. I mean, he went up against Stats in his career 4 times. He lost all 4 times, but the last one is only a couple months ago. That was at GSL vs. the World. Tasteless, that was a best of 5, and SpeCial took a 2-0 lead. If he takes a 2-0 lead today, he's going to move on. He's going to win. So it is going to be possible. That was a very fun series. We can talk a little bit more about it as soon as the games are on the way. I watched it again last night. I remember really enjoying it when we were in Korea together. I think you casted it back then. I was watching. I was, damn, Tasteless is doing a good job. I was like, I got to be part of this next time. It was a really good series where I think the main reason why SpeCial was able to take that 2-0 lead is because Stats was playing very gateway heavy, like a lot of Protoss players do these days. But there is a weakness of gateway heavy. Once you reach like 140, 150 supply, if you don't have overwhelming upgrades or you don't have that next tech ready, you're going to be vulnerable. And Major just did a SpeCial, did a really good job in forcing big engagements around that phase in the game where Stats almost had Colossus, where he had Storm, but just not enough to really crush that army of SpeCial. And there is a good chance if Stats is going to play the same way, that SpeCial kind of knows how to deal with it.
You know, when you look at someone like Stats, he's somebody who's always gradually improved. He's not been really taking major dips. I mean, granted, he wins something like a GSL, he doesn't then win the next one, but I wouldn't say that means you've fallen off. SpeCial has been very good, and he's one of these players who's truly tenured within StarCraft. A lot of these Korean pro gamers, they started playing at the ages of 10 or 11. But SpeCial's one of the few non-Korean players who started at an extremely young age. He had a lot of the players outside of Korea fostering him, pushing him, and now he resides in Korea a good amount of the year. And I think that's going to help him, but this is the ultimate test, because going up against Stats, somebody who's had a very good year, that's going to be difficult. Introing our first player in the upper right, in the blue, our Protoss, Stats.
Always looking handsome in that yellow spliced jersey. One of the few Protosses in this tournament, Tasteless, but arguably the best.
Yeah, got to watch out for this guy. Now, down here in the bottom left, one of the foreign hopes in the red, he is SpeCial.
Good old Juanito, a real treasure of the foreign scene. The foreign scene wouldn't be the same without him. So our first map of the very first series of this awesome tournament is going to be played on Acolyte. Acolyte is a little bit unique right now, Tasteless. I think it's the only map with an in-base expand, unless I'm saying something super silly right now. But you do have that pocket expand, and I think this is the only map that currently has one. Of course, there are a couple of other maps out there where it's easy to take an expand. This is not Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm anymore, where taking expands is hard, but this is by far the easiest map. So I was actually kind of expecting maybe even a command center first from SpeCial, but that's not going to be the case at all. Instead, he's actually taking a very interesting route with one of his SCVs.
I gotta say, although I know that SpeCial is capable of doing a macro game and building up, when I first think of him, I think aggression, to be honest. He's always liked to get in your face and do that aggro style of play. Now, if he doesn't do too much damage right away, especially if Stats is going to go for the macro game like we're seeing, then that could be problematic. But he's going to go for this Reaper opening here, and then, okay, he is going to go for a much safer, more conservative middle-of-the-road play here, trying to get into mid-game and late game.
A Reaper fast expand with a very early SCV scout for proxies. Checking the Zelnaga Watchtower, checking above his natural. I guess he was very worried about a potential proxy Stargate. This is definitely one of these maps where pros players every now and then go for a crazy proxy, or maybe even sillier like the double robo proxy, but that's not proxying at all. He just had a normal scout with his probe, and he's gonna go for the 1-gate fast expand. I'm a little bit surprised to see SpeCial scout this much. I guess there is a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and the last thing you want to do, you've been working towards this tournament for months, and before you know it, you're down 0-1 to a proxy target. He's like, there's no way I want to find myself in that position. But of course, he did sacrifice some minerals by sending out that SCV that early.
You know, here's one of the things you got to keep in mind, even though it's different worlds of success here from Stats and SpeCial. By the way, Reaper doing some scouting, now getting driven out. Even though you have two different worlds of success between these two guys, all SpeCial had to do was qualify. He's on even footing like everybody else to actually gonna get through this tournament and maybe even win. It's a long shot, but it's possible. And I guess if he can bring and deliver his best games, regardless of what his past was like, that's it. If you can deliver here and deliver now, you're gonna do it. Again, though, granted, Stats is somebody who's just been killing it for so long. By the way, we have a proxy in the upper left up here, the starport.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, I'm a little bit surprised by this. Often when you see a proxy starport, you'll see a proxy factory as well. This could maybe be for Banshees. It would be odd, but now this is going to be for a faster Liberator. So the odd thing is, though, that he brought the factory at home. So at home, I guess he just wants to be really safe. He's going to send a Widow Mine across the map. These Liberators are going to show up a little bit faster than a Liberator normally does. For Stats on the other end, by the way, we've got a very regular 1-gate fast expand robotics facility, which is very safe against mine drops and stuff like that. I'm a little bit confused about why SpeCial is proxying the starport.
It seems like a pretty offbeat build, but I guess Stats may not be expecting it just from the way it's going to pan out. A little bit of a harder read, but it's
that much.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the Reaper's going to come in here and scout. We'll see where the Liberator is going to go if he sees any really good openings.
It's a good scout, for sure.
You can't ask for a better scout, to be honest. And he now has that Widow Mine occupying where the third base presumably is going to be.
Yep, that's actually very annoying as well. You're going to send a probe out. The probe is going to get destroyed by that Widow Mine. The first Liberator is going to show up. Look at that Reaper doing a really good job in distracting, and the Stalker count is actually very low. This is an awesome little Liberator at 433. That's obviously quite early on in the game. A little bit of lost mining time, late third Nexus, while SpeCial on the other side of the map is already building his third command center. It's not on location.
Whoa.
Picks off the Observer as well. This is a good start. This is a really good start.
Everything is going right now here for SpeCial.
Yep.
Gunning down that Observer, he's doing a great job coming in here and harassing. He's not really hemorrhaging a ton of units during this harass. The Widow Mine is taken out, which is still fine. Liberator now backing up, but so far so good. He's definitely in a good position. If he can keep playing like this, he could absolutely win game number 1.
I was kind of wondering where are you going with this exactly, SpeCial, but looking at the way it played out right now, we're 5 minutes into the game, that was solid. This was not a crazy explosive opening, there wasn't a mine killing 10 probes, but it's just a little bit of damage, and that's piling up over time. You know, late third Nexus, a little bit of lost mining time because of the Liberator, a couple of dead probes. One probe dying in the natural as well while going up to 3 bases fast. Even more harass right now with this Liberator. This is actually going fantastic for SpeCial. That's a slow warp in, by the way, by Stats. That's a very uncharacteristic mistake. These Stalkers should have been done way faster. This is not going well for Stats at all.
SpeCial so far poking holes in his opponent and really going unpunished. But Stats, of course, he's okay playing on the defense, even if he maybe gets behind from time to time. He wants to build up and get all the tools necessary for a late-game Protoss player to try to disarm the Terran. But look, I mean, with all that being said and done, this is not just not going bad for SpeCial. In fact, let's see if he gets his Observer. Yep. Oh, wow. Okay, another little victory there. Second Observer has been gunned down. SpeCial so far is playing the game of his life.
Yep, I know. I mean, not too much has happened yet, but it's just all really solid. And I mean, we're not trying to make this a bigger deal than it is. It's just a really good opening, but by no means is this game over. By no means is Stats not going to win this game because of what happened. But right now, they're dead even on the work account. That's not normal. Protoss is supposed to be 4, 5, if not 6, 7, 8 workers ahead in this phase in a game. That shows that SpeCial did something right. But he's also doing really right. If you take a look at the upgrades, the Forge just going down right now. The Twilight is just going down right now. It just shows that not everything has gone super smooth for Stats. And above all, Tasteless, in the past at the Global Finals, we often were like, this is going to be a great series. And then 3 minutes in, it was just obvious that the game was already a lost cause. That's not the case here at all. This is just a solid opening for SpeCial.
Yeah, and SpeCial, like you were saying, he hasn't won the game by any measure, but he's doing all the things he needs to do that would indicate that he's playing a solid game, and he's actually shutting the Protoss down here and there.
Yep, we see a pretty fast Fusion Core. Now, Fusion Cores are obviously used for Liberator range and for battle cruisers, but I don't think we're going to see too many battle cruisers right now on this map. We've seen it a few times, but that's only if Protoss actually goes carriers, and that's not the case at all. So we're going to see fast Liberator range. This is one of these maps, even though it's a massive map, it's a large map with a lot of bases, that doesn't mean it's not incredibly good for Liberator range, because almost every map is really good for Liberator range. And with the way that Stats has opened up, I don't think he has the money or the economy to go into Tempest anytime soon. Instead, it's going to be a crazy amount of gateways.
Well, he's going to power up, and I think this is probably a very good choice considering how the earlier part of this game went. Taking a 4th base, that's definitely a moment where Terran can try to pounce on you, especially considering the bruises that were dealt earlier on here. But powering on 6 gates means he is going to have a huge income coming in, excuse me, an army incoming, which might be tougher for SpeCial to deal with. SpeCial going to try to move out with his army through the bottom right.
Interesting that we already have Warp Prism speed on the way as well, Tasteless. That's one of these normally super late game upgrades. You know, if you've got 4 or 5 bases. Can we take a look at the natural SpeCial real quick? The Pocket Expand. How many turrets do we have there? So we've got 2 turrets. Now a 3rd turret is going down. That's absolutely massive. Because I think with this many turrets, a single Prism, even with speed, will still always die if it flies into the main. Maybe it can take a different angle, obviously, but at least SpeCial is covered when it comes to his Pocket Expand.
Okay, center expand here for Stats. SpeCial has been toying with the idea of coming out, and I think with the 4th base being acquired, the push should begin. We see a small army rallied in the lower center. And with supplies being checked here, SpeCial with a lead overall, 162 to 144. The push is about to start.
Yep, we've got a Stargate being wiped in right now. This is where the game gets very interesting. SpeCial's moving out, but how many Liberators does he truly have? It feels like it's still very low. It's 3. That's a start. Oh, and he's going to be able to do some very serious delay, by the way, on the mining of these bases, because just now the Stargate has been wiped in. That means that Stats is not going to be able to mine of 1 or 2 of these bases.
Okay, so it's going to be a 3-pronged attack. One Liberator over here, one south of this expansion, and there's an army ready to pounce on the 4th base right here. Let's see if Stats is going to be ready.
I mean, I don't think that SpeCial should commit too much. Obviously, you'd like to take a base for free if you can. He finds the Prism, by the way, in the left bottom side with his Liberators. Unfortunately, Liberators don't kill Prisms very fast, but he's going to be able to take care of these Zealots on the right side. This Prism will go down eventually.
You know, unfortunately, he had those turrets up, but they weren't in the spot that actually knocked the Prism out. So a little bit more harass, hurting SpeCial here. Those Liberators still doing a decent amount of damage, delaying. If we get a shot back of the expansion, I'm trying to see if the probes are still. Okay, that one's just out of range. That's what I was wondering. It seemed like it was pretty far out. So
makes a big difference.
that's unfortunate, because had that been positioned just like a few pixels over, it's going to do what it needs to do. But again, SpeCial still in good condition, just now reaching maxed out supply, and it looks like he wants to come and push out again.
This is where I say you gotta go SpeCial, pedal to the metal. This is your moment. Just make as many Liberators as you can and put some serious pressure on this 4th base. There are ghosts in the mix as well, so EMP stasis is going to be super important here. If you can somehow land an EMP on these High Templars, I really think SpeCial's got the better army, but every second that goes by is a good second for Stats with 3 Stargates soon and Tempest on the way. But this right here is kind of SpeCial's window. He really needs to do a lot of damage, preferably take a big fight or kill the base.
Okay, he's setting up the liberation zones. Protoss is arcing out with the Templars. He needs to get some very good Psy Storms on the clumps of army on the ground. And look how he leapfrogs him forward. At some point in time, actually, I think it's going to be right now. Stats either has to commit and defend this base or give it up. Meanwhile, Warp Prism harass over here at the Terran's expansion.
Yeah, that Warp Prism is going to do quite a bit of damage. 10 SCVs went down already, but this 4th base is under a lot of fire. But Stats is just such a seasoned veteran. He doesn't even blink. He's like, yeah, actually, I can defend that base. Instead, SpeCial's going to go for a big drop in the back of the natural. There were defensive High Templars. That is an amazing storm. 4 Medivacs, I think, went down there.
Yeah, he had some great feedbacks there, but it wasn't enough to actually take the Medivacs out, so a good amount of the army ended up being unloaded. The 4th base for Stats is gone. This expansion should be taken out as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is a dead Nexus, but it wasn't for free. A lot of bio units went down, a couple of Medivacs went down. At the same time, SpeCial lost 21 SCVs. I'd say right now, don't even replace them. Just get a bigger army. I mean, he is building some SCVs. I guess he did do a lot of economic damage. Stats got to be careful with his army. Does he wants to get the Raven, or?
He's got to be careful, Stats does, as he moves at her. Good snipe there on the Raven. But SpeCial's going to try to lock him out. I'm actually surprised by this. I thought he was going to go back, and he ended up catching this Tempest for the Tempest. Okay, he does turn around and stim that down.
That's a free Tempest. What's in the natural right now of Stats? Is that an exposed natural? Can we take a look at it? A couple of Zealots, Tempest. Oracle's going to set down a stasis trap. That is really good movement on the Liberators.
Okay, he's zoned out the Colossi. Now the infantry are going to come up here. The Nexus is exposed. There's some army. Oh, okay, good trap there. But again, there's still enough damage output to shut down this expansion. I think if Stats can't pull it together back here and start getting some Nexi secured, he may lose this. That being said, there are still Warpins with Zealots slowly chipping away in the inner infrastructure for SpeCial.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a lot of damage, but the orbital commands are still alive, so as long as you've got a couple mules to work with, I think it's alright. I really don't understand why Stats just walked down that ramp. That made everything so much more difficult for himself. Now he's moving out. He's cutting off some reinforcements, but he's losing a lot of probes as well. I think that SpeCial could have taken down all these probes, and I wouldn't have mind seeing that at all. Because Stats is not that rich that he doesn't need those probes anymore. 53 workers is actually not that great. He's taking more damage, by the way, on the other base. What's happening at Stats'
north center
fort?
here. Okay, there's a Liberator over there. But what's crazy about this is the fact that SpeCial is zoned out the main army in the middle of the map here for the Protoss. The Protoss is not able to get what can deal damage to where it needs to be to protect things. Another attack coming down here. SpeCial now diving on top of this expansion. Going to set up another liberation zone. Stats has been seesawing back and forth in the middle of the map.
I don't get it at all. I don't understand the army movement from Stats. He's going to lose this Nexus now as well. Even lost a few High Templars there, lost an Archon. Even if Stats kills all these units, I mean, that would be fantastic. I think with a good blink forward right now, he's going to lose a couple of stock. He's going to retreat.
Stats is falling apart. His base is in shambles. SpeCial, despite taking abuse and losing SCVs throughout this game, overall has more than enough infrastructure to keep producing. I think from here, SpeCial just returns home, macros up, and strikes again.
He's got the 2-2 upgrades as well. Stats is absolutely not rich enough to start 3-3. Terran with even upgrades and Liberators and Ghost against Protoss. SpeCial's looking really, really, really good here in game number 1.
Okay, Stats is now headed southbound. There's another small counterattack here, by the way, by SpeCial, which is enough to possibly screw things up further for Stats. In fact, we see a good amount of Stats' army coming to turn around, but these Oracles will be able to take this out. But yeah, Stats seems interested in trying to have one big attack and shut down this base, and by all measure, I don't see it working. The math, the numbers are just not on his side.
I mean, he's got 3 Tempas, which is nice. We've got 8 High Templars. SpeCial's gonna keep the aggression on. He's gonna send 2 Metafacts out. It's very important he doesn't lose those Metafacts.
This is it. Stats has to make a miracle happen right now. And once again, SpeCial sets up a nice deflection that bounces that army into another location. Stats still searching for an opening here to try to do something. Yeah, and I don't think there is any.
No, I really don't think so either, especially now with the Sensor Tower now, the Planetary Fortress. I love SpeCial trying to go for another drop. There is a spotting Zealot there. We've got a couple of High Templars. He's got a feedback, but I don't think these Metafacts have that much energy. I love that SpeCial didn't use Metafacts with too much energy. These Metafacts will live, and this drop will definitely do at least some damage.
Again, more and more damage coming in here. A big theme about this has been not enough damage with the feedbacks. Takes out an Archon.
Massive.
Stats is just never going to catch up this game. And this is a great beginning for SpeCial here. He looks like he's primed to win. Stats has re-expanded, but we do know that SpeCial has plans to push out again. Rinse, repeat like we saw on the first push earlier on this game.
And that was an awesome little drop. You know, there are some scenarios where you look at that drop and you're like, it's about an even trade. But this time it wasn't, because Stats has really been scrambling for pennies. He's been having a very hard time securing bases and getting a good economy going. So losing 3-4 Zealots, losing 2 Archons after, you know, he just swapped in 4 High Templars to morph them into Archons. That is really big. SpeCial can afford to lose those units. Stats cannot.
Okay, here comes SpeCial now. Again, it's the same position where if he stimmed forward, he's got a good arc. He's coming in now. Storms going down. Actually, great storms there by Stats, but is it going to be enough? Now the Colossi being gunned down. I don't believe this expansion can be protected.
I love that by SpeCial. I mean, yes, he had a lot of storms to worry about, but there were no Zealots there, no Archons, no Immortals. He's like, well, Colossus don't kill Marauders that quickly. I'm just gonna go for it. There's almost nothing left on the ground for Stats, and I think that SpeCial is about to take game number 1 here, Tasteless.
He's coming in. The Nexus is going down. There's nothing to really protect these Tempests. Vikings dealing more and more damage. GG! SpeCial wins game number 1 in a huge upset.
Yep, that is one way to start the WCS Global Finals, Tasteless. Just an excellent game by SpeCial from start to finish. Early on, like I said, like he didn't kill 8-9 probes, right, with a Widow Mine or something, but it was just solid. It was a little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage there, while having a very good economy at home. Just an excellent game by our Mexican Terran player.
Guys, we're going off script here. This isn't supposed to be happening. SpeCial beats Stats in game 1, and that means he's just got to win 1 more.
Yes,
and he's that much closer, Roddy.
That's how you win a best of 3.
Yeah, that's how it works. Those are the rules in case you're confused at home. But you can see the adrenaline going through SpeCial as he's saying, whoa, wait a minute. That just happened. And Stats now feeling the anxiety. He was somebody we had high hopes for, high expectations for, I should say, going in to the WCS Global Finals. But SpeCial, this may be his day today.
Yep, and you know what's crazy? I mean, this was just a crazy game. I can talk about the game for a long time because a lot of weird things happened. But imagine a world where SpeCial would have sieged at Liberated. That was going to that bottom expanse, basically the 3rd Nexus of Stats. If he moves that lip a tiny bit closer, you know, Stats can't even mine of that mineral line either until that Phoenix is out and he kills both Liberators. So SpeCial could have been even further ahead. But what I'm still most confused by was that one moment where Stats just wandered down the ramp.
Yeah.
And you could see SpeCial like, okay, I guess I put my Liberators
Yeah.
over here, now you can come back. And then he just lost 2 more Nexus.
It was like Stats left the front door open,
Yeah.
and so SpeCial comes and says, all right, I'll take that.
with a bunch of Rolexes on the front porch.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. So he locks him out. Stats is basically exiled from his army's exiled from his own base. Stats is getting pounded here by SpeCial. And even though I think Stats did a pretty impressive job of recuperating to a certain extent, SpeCial, once that initial big push was done, had taken every measure to have proper production and have a big enough army to come in with the killing blow.
Yep, and I just love the beginning of the game as well, where he just did a phenomenal job in delaying that Nexus a little bit with the mine, losing a little bit of mining time with the very first Liberators that were proxied. He got an Observer with the scan, he got the second Observer with the Raven, and during all of that, he had a very fast Herd CC. I mean, they were at 55 workers at the exact same time, and once again, Tasteless, that's not supposed to happen. Protoss is supposed to be at like 62, 63 by the time the Terran goes up to 55 SCV, so awesome job, awesome build by SpeCial. That was something that was very catered towards Acolyte. On a
Right.
different map, which obviously we will play a different map, we're going to have to see a different playstyle come out of him. But this was excellent. Very well chosen build for that map.
I think that some of the loss for Stats in that game 1 was the little bit of damage, the little bit of momentum that SpeCial managed to get. It's not expected of Stats to ever take that kind of damage early on. He is a defensive player. He's not generally interested in trying to kill you early on. He just wants to evaluate what you're doing and then counter that or play around that and come out ahead. But the amount of wounds that SpeCial was inflicting there on Stats, he was never able to finally get to that point. And I think also we got to point out that SpeCial really had a good push there, zoning out those Colossi. Can he do it again? I think so, but I will also say Stats knows exactly what went wrong that game and is going to do whatever he can to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yep.
I don't know if SpeCial needs to change anything playstyle-wise. He seems to be in very good condition.
I'm pretty sure he's going to have a very different build for whatever map we decide to play on here. In map number 2, of course, both players had 2 vetoes. I think we're getting very close to hopping into game number 2. You know, the last thing I want to say about a previous game, Tasteless, is that we both and everybody else always talks a lot about momentum. And I felt that SpeCial picked up a little bit of momentum very early on when all units from Stats were chasing that little Reaper around. He had a hard time killing the Reaper.
Yeah.
And that's when the Liberator shows up. That's just exactly what you want. You're like, ha, got you, you know?
It's
like,
all gone according to plan.
yeah, exactly. It's like these little things, but that just makes you feel so good in a game of StarCraft 2. And I think that's just the start he needed.
Okay, we are going to be going into game number 2 now in this best of 3. Introducing our players. In the bottom right, in the blue, our Protoss player, down 1 game. He is Stats.
Looks unfazed, Tasteless. It's still Stats.
That's right.
Fantastic year for him.
This guy got a great work ethic, really grinding, constantly improving, but so far he is under threat by this player from Mexico. In the upper left, in the red, he is SpeCial.
As we're loading in,
And you viewers at home are special too, you know that?
they are Tasteless.
That's right. SpeCial, formerly known as Major. He has changed his ID several times in his StarCraft career. He's been playing since he was very young. And I appreciate the ID change. You know, sometimes you want to turn a new leaf, start a new chapter, and I guess with that ID change, that was his moment.
You will always be Tasteless.
Yeah. What if I changed my name? Something completely weird.
You couldn't.
No, that wouldn't work.
So I just want to talk real quick about Ascension to Aya, because I'm a little bit shocked that this is the second map in this series. I just kind of wonder what SpeCial has vetoed. I mean, obviously he would never veto a map like Catalina, and I actually think that Abyssal is a pretty decent Terran map as well. So maybe he vetoed Interloper and then maybe Mech Depot, but I'm a little bit shocked because I personally think that Ascension to Aya is one of the very best Protoss maps in this map pool, especially on this map. Stats has shown us in the past that he's a big fan of gateway heavy playstyles as well before rushing into Colossus or Storm, and that is fantastic on this map. This map is by far the best map for a lot of gateway units and taking a lot of bases very fast and delaying your attack a tiny bit. Now maybe SpeCial just feels like, hey, we played this map in GSL vs. the World, and guess what? He tried to do that build, and I killed him with it. I took a 2-0 lead back then, so maybe SpeCial just feels like he can win on this map again. But I'm a little bit surprised.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've actually personally known SpeCial for a long time. because, you know, he was a Brood War guy back in the day. And it's very exciting to see how committed he is to StarCraft in general. He started playing at a super young age. He made the commitment to train in Korea. And so far, we've really seen this pay off a good amount. Stats, though, I am still a little bit afraid for SpeCial going up against Stats, because Stats is just a guy who, the more games you play against him, the more he's going to adjust and make whatever changes necessary to not have those same errors happen again. That's why we don't do best of ones when there's so much at stake here. We want to have multiple games with different strategies and opportunities for players to mix it up. But still, he's off to a good start here. We got the Stargate nearing completion with the depths coming in here. Starport just now starting here for SpeCial.
Yep. Some interesting movement on the bottom side of the map as well. That was a probe, right? Just a little bit to the left. Observer, can we confirm real quick? And Adept in the middle of the map. But what's coming home right now? Above the natural. There we go. So I don't really know what Stats was doing with this probe, because he had this probe on the south side of the map for a little while. He put it on patrol, gave us the indication that maybe he wanted to wap in a pylon. Then he seemed like he changed his mind. He maybe is just scouting for proxies as well. You can really see, Tasteless, this is not just a ladder game for these guys. They are scouting everywhere. We see SCVs, we see probe checking every corner of the map. If there is a proxy Stargate or there is a second factory, you want to know about it. And both players are really on top of their scouting. Doesn't see the Stargate.
He does not see the Stargate, which is handy. You might still suspect it.
Yep.
Definitely the location he didn't scout there, it fits exactly where Stargate would be perfectly, but, you know, having confirmation of that obviously helps a little bit.
Look at that one Widow Mine. That Widow Mine is in a pretty awkward spot. That's often a spot where you're not looking with your Oracle.
Okay, hold up. Let's see if he possibly flies into this. This has been the story for some Protoss players for some time. And keep in mind, even if it doesn't hit that now, it might fly through it later on.
Okay, the Adepts are going to shade on top of these Marines. Oracle's going to show up, but the Viking shows up as well. And I actually think that SpeCial's going to be able to deflect this without any issues. Picks up one Adept, almost gets the second one. But above all, Tasteless takes 0 damage.
Yeah,
SpeCial's playing so good so far.
Yeah, SpeCial's reacted basically perfectly to what was thrown at him early on there. That Widow Mine's still going to be a factor. We know that the Oracle, oh my god, okay, here we go. Oh no! It's gone.
It's the random Oracle, Tasteless. The random Oracle always connects. Incredibly well done by SpeCial.
And the Oracle knew at the last moment. He tagged it. He saw the killer at the last moment.
That is the only Oracle that's out on the map as well, right? Oh, and SpeCial's so good. He even moved it. I mean, Sets was like, well, if I'm going to lose it, at least I'm going to be able to kill it.
Right.
He's going to shade in one more time.
Actually, Stats might be on tilt, man, if he tries to come in there. Okay, he's not going to do that with those Adepts. I got worried for a second. As you were saying, there is a second Oracle out here. But again, it's bad to start losing him like that.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of detection. I mean, if he spreads out these Widow Mines that he currently has in his medevac, just put one mine maybe over here, one mine into the natural. That's already very annoying, because I think only a single Revelation is available. He uses it on that one, but this mine could potentially be very annoying. Burrows it outside of range of Pylon Photon Overcharge. SpeCial's doing everything right so far.
He's just playing the game of his life. StarCraft is his life, so this is really, he has worked so hard to get to this moment. I am so impressed. Marines now pushing out. Again, the Widow Mine's already a thorn in Stats' paw, but now these Marines going to push out. Gets the first Phoenix.
Wow.
The pressure's on Stim. 10 seconds away.
Overcharge. I mean, there is an overcharge. There is a Guardian Shield available over here. So I think it's all right. Not sure what's going on with the audio. Hopefully we're still here. We don't hear ourselves right now.
Yeah, I can hear myself fine. I've lost audio for you here, but I'll take this one from here for a little bit. We have the Marines continuing to push out and poke here. A lot of gateways, though, coming down here for Stats right now. The Vikings coming over here, the one Viking, excuse me, coming over now to scout this. So he's going to see this. It's possible SpeCial may poke for just a little bit and then try to back off. A little bit of harass here with the Liberator now coming in. And as you can see here, this is getting kind of scary here for Stats. Already he's unable to mine over here. And we can see things are just not going well here for him. Another warp in here for the Stalkers. It looks like he'll finally manage to clean this up. We've got to poke if we can bring the camera back up here to the top. Good stasis, or force fields there, rather, excuse me, to block out some of those Marines.
I think I'm back. No.
So the Stalker's going to continue to come up right now. And we're still trying to see if, I don't have Roddy in my headset, so we'll see if we get your audio fixed in just a second here, buddy. But as the push comes in, a lot more damage being done. Stim's down that one sentry there. And we have the Marines now continuing to come in here and chip away. Everything's so brittle right now. The Oracle really helping out. Stats hanging on by a thread here. That pylon cannon saving the day. And with those gateways done, warping in, that were there at the bottom earlier on, that next warp in is going to allow him to last for a little bit longer.
All right.
All right, Roddy, you go ahead and try and see if we're going to cast away from here.
Okay,
see if we got your audio fixed. I don't hear you in my headset, though.
Okay.
And I hear it in game, too.
I don't really hear myself either, but what I do know is that this all went incredibly good for SpeCial, that he's still in an excellent position in this game. Not too many pros have gone down, so awesome defense by Stats. Another mine drop, Tasteless in the main will...
Yeah, this Widow Mine drop coming down here. I'm getting really scared for Stats here.
Yeah, it's
I'm getting
rough.
super worried because he is taking, in some ways, more blows than even game number 1 coming through. The medevac going to come through once again. And now we have SpeCial gearing up for a huge drop over here in the bottom right. Might not want to do it right when those stalkers are over there. But SpeCial really leaning into his opponent and doing a ton of damage.
Yes, he did. All right. We can finally hear each other again.
Yeah, I can hear
Tasteless.
you now. That's good.
Hopefully, you guys were able to hear me
Yeah,
before as well. I'm not sure. So we've got a big drop heading towards the main. Once again, so far, fantastic game for SpeCial. Stats doing a good job, though, in defending with not too many tools. But this drop, Tasteless, has gone undefected.
Unpowered everything! The stem is coming in here. Stats is falling apart. I don't know if you can recuperate from this. Can we get a shot of the main, though, of SpeCial? Some Adepts now being warped in.
I just kind of feel like he perhaps needed those units at home. I mean, he is going to be able to usher these bio units away for now. The mines are still there. We have a couple of observers on the way. These Adepts shading into bio units. So SpeCial will be able to clean this up without losing too many. He did lose 14 SCVs in the main, but in the natural he didn't lose that much.
Is there a Warp Prism up top?
Yep.
Okay, so that Warp Prism's still there. If he can try to get that out, maybe he can try another Warp in. Otherwise,
I think it's kind of dead.
Yeah, there's that's not going to make it out here. But SpeCial is going to be able now, after he takes out the Warp Prism, to then attack in again.
You know, the biggest thing, ooh, maybe a couple of free bio units over here for Stats. Gotta give Stats a lot of compliments, because after such a rough start, I think a lot of Protoss players would have just fallen apart, roll over, and die. But he's still hanging in there. What I'm just worried about is that he's even in upgrades. You don't want to be even in upgrades against Terran when you play this kind of a style. Now, what he is doing is he's rushing up to the Templar Archives, and if you give Stats a couple of storms to work with, anything is still possible, but it's safe to say that this is once again an absolutely amazing start for SpeCial.
Okay, we have Stats beginning to try to push in. This is his opportunity to try to do some other kind of counterattack up here. Because he needs to get some more action going on his opponent's side of the map. Some Adepts are going to come over here. They're going to shade in, try to get SCVs, and try to pull some of SpeCial's army away. Meanwhile, though, a drop comes in here.
Yeah. Overcharge is going to take care of that. A couple of Stalkers are being wiped in as well. There is a sensor tower, so it will spot that entire Protoss army in the middle of the map. Once again, 12 SCVs, 13 SCVs. I mean, still 52 left. This feels unbreakable to me, though. I really don't think that Stats can do much other than just sit back, get Storm, get the upgrades going, and try to defend all your bases. But he's doing a fantastic job with his arrest. I don't even know where these Adepts are coming from, Tasteless.
It's pretty sick, man. Now, let's keep in mind, though, that Stats has a position that he can actually leverage here, where he's going to be able to try to keep SpeCial basically pinned inside of his main. And he could probably do that for quite some time now. And as he's doing this pin over and over, he's coming in here and shaving down SCVs. So even though SpeCial had a really good start, I don't know if this is going to lead him into a victory later on, because Stats is now seizing control. You can see he's got a good surround here. He's got opportunities to counterattack in different locations.
Yeah, I like everything that Stats has done in the last few minutes, but he still has to be careful, because in a straight-up fight, I actually kind of like the army. I like the defensive shade here. He's going to be able to take down a couple of Marines before at least saving a few of these Adepts. And I think he has a Warp Prism there as well, so he's going to pick him up immediately. I like what Stats is doing, but don't get fooled by the power of the Terran army. If SpeCial can actually get a very big fight, SpeCial's army is going to be better with all these Liberators, and especially with a couple of Ghosts out on the map as well.
I totally agree with you. It's like if the armies have to go head-to-head, then he's going to be, SpeCial's going to be fine. But if Stats just keeps doing these guerrilla attacks here and there and weakening him up all over the place, there's not going to be much that SpeCial can do. So SpeCial's going to be okay in this position we have on camera right now. but it's possible that Stats may try to loop around, and we already see Special's identified that. He's going to evacuate that location.
Yeah, but what I love about all of this, though, is that Stats is just buying so much time for himself. He's getting a second Stargate at home, he's getting a fleet beacon, and with all these gateway units, I think he might actually be able to kill this command center. He blinks forward, gets the kill. A couple of High Templars coming in as well. Lends a Storm maybe to save some of his units. Doesn't even have to. Damn, the way that Stats turned this around after a pretty rough start is absolutely remarkable. Some super high-level Protoss play.
Yeah, Special was doing so much damage, but Stats stabilized very quickly. And you can see now, Special is really unable to leave like the upper left quadrant of the map.
Overcommitment, though. This is an overcommitment, I think.
This is a little bit dicey here. So he's going to take out a decent amount of those units here, but Special's not giving up. Another harass over here.
Yeah, gets a couple of probes finally after only losing SCVs, and a few more SCVs are going to fall. You can just look at how many SCVs died. It's like 40 or 62 already. That's crazy. Stats has just been killing SCVs left, right, and center while still dancing around with his main army and taking bases at home and getting an answer against these Liberators. Incredibly well done. Stats is just showing us why he's Stats. It feels like for the first 12 minutes of this series, Stats was asleep, and then he woke up and he suddenly realized that he's Stats, and he just turned it up.
Yeah, he's like,
he's
wait a
playing
minute.
so much better right now.
I might be the best Protoss player in the world right now. Wait a minute, what am I doing? The game, the action is seesawed again over here to the other side of the map now. Special found an opening to move out as Stats lost some of the map control. But with Tempest here, this is kind of hard for Terran to hold this.
It's so much easier for Protoss to defend if you have a couple of Tempests. It's like, oh, what do you want to do? Stim forward? I've got Storms as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think that Stats had to go down this ramp.
Okay.
That could have been a small mistake, but he does have Storms to fall back on.
Okay, he's got Storms, but Special's continuing to spill in here. We see Stats retreating. All these Marines and Marauders very weak, 1 or 2 shots away from being picked off. But Stats holds, and Special GG's out, tying up this series 1-1.
Damn, what a game. I mean, early on, it once again felt incredibly solid for Special. I really liked the way things were going. Didn't take any damage from the Adepts, killed the Oracle, did some damage with the Widowmines. That first push was good, the follow-up aggression was good.
Yeah.
But where Stats separate himself from all the other Protoss players is that I feel almost anybody would be like, oh my god, I've lost so many units. I need everything right now to somehow defend. And Stats is like, if I just sit back and I defend, he's going to have too much. The only way I can turn this around is by killing SCVs non-stop, by harassing and keeping my opponent on his side of the map. And that's just when Stats became Stats again, and he just played fantastic for the second half of that game.
It was pretty wild because Special did so much damage, I almost got carried away with it. And then when we saw the number of SCVs that were getting picked off there by Stats, then we saw this moment where Special really couldn't leave his corner of the map.
But that's also Ascension to Ire, though. Like, I mean, I love the start from Special, but there are some other maps where there is no way Protoss can play like that. If you throw away that many units, Terran stims across the map and just straight up kills you. But Ascension to Ire is a very large map, and then on the other side of the map, there is a ramp everywhere. No matter where you want to attack one of those 4 bases, you're gonna have to go up to a ramp, and that just makes it very hard, especially if Storm is out as well. I mean, Special played it great early on, don't get me wrong. But I still think that the power of Ascension when it comes to like Protoss, being able to just keep the Terran at home, making it so hard for the Terran to truly commit to an attack, really came into play in that game as well.
So, this is now a moment for Special to try to reevaluate what went right in these 2 games, but also what went wrong. And it does seem like Special was doing a bunch of damage, but he wasn't ready for the force, for the impact when it was Stats' turn to try and start damaging him.
Yeah, it's just the harass was too crazy.
The harass was insane. And it really sped up quite quickly once the Adepts got in the base. The kills were pretty off the hook, to be honest.
Very curious about that final map. I think it could be Magnipo or it could maybe be Interloper. I highly doubt it's Abyssal. I don't think we're going to see Catalina. Oh, it is going to be Catalina.
Right.
Wow, Stats has no fear at all. All right.
In the center left, in the blue, our Protoss player Stats.
And all tied up. Our Mexican Terran was so close to starting the global finals with a massive upset. Can he still do it, though? It is Special.
So, Special coming into this game. he's looked, honestly, and I've casted a lot of special games in my life, and I've known this guy like long before I was ever broadcasting full time. He's like, these are the best games I've seen from him, really. Like, he's looking really on top of his game. And, you know, when you have a game that you lose, but you still look scary, especially against somebody like Stats, it's like next level. And so we're going to see if he's going to be able to pull through here now, but it's definitely a possibility. And to be honest with you, like, my heart was rooting for SpeCial going into this, but my head was saying, no way, dude. Stats is going to do this, take him out easily. And it's not been the case. That's super exciting to see SpeCial being so dominant.
Yep, and especially this final game right now on Catalina, which is just, in general, considered to be a pretty Terran-favored map. I'm very curious to see how Stats decides to open up. This is already a little bit different. Most of the time you see a Protoss player, right, go one gate, fast expand, one gas, everything is normal. Not this time, Tasteless. You see him go double gas, 3 probes on the gas. He's going to open up with a super quick Stargate because he wants to know what he's playing against. This is a very good scout by SpeCial. You want to see, whoa, that's a lot of gas that's being mined. And it's weird that you don't have a Nexus yet, so I guess you're just going to go for a very quick Stargate. But it's still nice to confirm it. Take a look at this probe on the bottom side of the map. That probe could potentially warp in a pylon and maybe even a gateway. So we could have Stargate and gateway pressure.
You know, it's wild that we're getting such a different game out of Stats here.
This is in general not considered to be a super safe opening.
Yeah,
It's not safe and solid, right? You need to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that this is such a pivotal game.
Yeah.
Right here, game 3. I mean, we're going to have a winner and a loser after this.
I mean, if you
and
lose
a lot of
it,
this might come down to what happens early on, right? There's a reason why we tend to not see this as often. Because the very best of the best say, well, for consistency, you might want to try to avoid play like this. But Stats, he's shifted gears entirely here, in part because of the player, in part because of the map. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm confused as well. Still no Nexus for Stats. That's like the latest Nexus we have seen in a PvP in a little while.
I'm getting anxious just waiting for this expansion to come up.
He's going to throw it down. That's very nice. Oh, the eBay block. That's excellent. Do we have any other units out for Stats? Is there... Okay, he's got a Mothership Core in the depth, but it's all the way on the other side, so that eBay block is actually so damn big.
He's either going to have to give up on the rush or like pull a lot of the fuel out of the rush itself, or he's going to have to double down on the attack on the space, and he does not get the wall in up. It looks like SpeCial is going to go ahead and give up this position. He should still be able to save that command center, and now this Adept is taking heavy fire. Meanwhile, the Reaper's doing damage here in the main.
Yep, and this Reaper has potential to do a lot because a single Adept is going to have a hard time in general killing a Reaper. It can always bounce back into the main again. There is still no expand down. SpeCial is really not taking that much damage from this opening because the Reaper has been the real MVP, sniping both probes that could have potentially warped in pylons. Finally, the Reaper goes down, but it even forces the Oracle to use some of the damage at home.
The real MVP, Roddy, I say it's that eBay that didn't finish. We don't normally award the MVP trophy to a building that never finished, but this time, huge impact there. Hold up, Oracle coming in now, doing a little bit more damage.
I mean, maybe it should have finished, actually, that eBay that is. Oh, the Widowmine connects with the Oracle, and the Oracle goes down. There is one more Oracle, but it doesn't have that much energy. The command center is taking damage, but it's not going to take that much damage. It's going to go down anytime soon. What a bizarre way to start this series. Once again, this is a very big series. If you lose this, you play for your tournament live against either Snoot or TY. You don't want to find yourself in that position this early on.
No, you do not, Roddy. It was a long shot for the command center to ever be killed off there, but the presence of the Mothership core does make it impossible to mine from that. But it looks like he's managed to reclaim that. Now these two Oracles coming in here, they've only gotten 2 SCVs. They shaved off a couple Marines.
Viking?
Yeah, the Viking coming in over here. Oh, they are barely going to be able to get out.
Needed Tom Cruise in that Viking.
Yeah, no kidding.
If he would have taken a smarter angle, could have got it.
Okay, so those 2 Oracles barely escape in there. But we have to wait and see. We get a shot back here of Stats' base. I don't really know what's going on back on this side of the map. Okay, so he's got 3 gateways. 2 of those gateways are not warp gates yet. And he's going to go ahead and take a 3rd now. He's setting up traps. He's realized, okay, his time to be aggressive and try to abuse SpeCial is over. He now has to get his own defensive setup. And that means SpeCial is going to have a lot of opportunities to try to come in here and do some damage. Scouting Viking does see what is already up in the main. I don't believe SpeCial has any confirmation of the third base, although he may suspect that's on the way.
It would actually be nice if this Phoenix follows the Viking for SpeCial, that is. That is exactly what's happening. So this Phoenix is going to be out of position right when the Liberator shows up. Liberator is going to be able to do quite a bit of damage. As once again, lost mining time is just incredibly bad here for Stats. He can't afford it. He didn't have a very economic opening. So even taking this much damage, it may not seem like that much. That's really going to hurt Tasteless. Because Stats needs some real units soon. Stim is on the way and +1 is on the way.
That's right. I love that the Liberator just stays there. It's way more worth it to just keep that there and stop any workers from mining. We've seen this become more trendy, especially in the latter part of 2017, where players just keep making oracles. And occasionally things fall apart for the player because they just weren't equipped to have that much damage dealt that quickly. And this is really going to be Stats' lifeline for a little bit here.
Oh, this is really important. That SpeCial Scout says that he knows about all these stasis traps that are here. A single Marine is going to go forward. It's going to trigger the first one. And if there is one Tasteless, there's often a few more out there. So Stats is finally going to get some real DPS other than Oracles. But Oracles alone, this is not PvZ. It's not going to be enough. He's going to get Resonating Glaives and +1. I really like this game for SpeCial so far.
I do too. And, you know, the timing of when the +1 and the stim is going to be done, I think he can really start to stress out the defenses of Stats here. SpeCial expanding again. Again, so far, so good.
This is crazy. 54 army supply against only 26. SpeCial was aware of all the stasis traps as well, so he triggered them. Somehow even saved the Marines that only had 1 HP that were triggered. Maybe one of them is finally going to get picked off. But this push that SpeCial is making has a lot of potential. Combat Shield is more than halfway done. Maybe he can get a free Oracle there. The Phoenix is a little bit out of position as well. I don't know how Seth's going to be able to hang in there. He does have gateways finishing up. He's warping in as many adepts as possible. There is a stasis ward. Oh, that could save Stats.
Oh my God, he's going right by it.
Are you kidding me?
It's going to be triggered by that one Marine in the back. Okay, he's getting into a very good position. The booby traps on the map did not slow the Terran down. SpeCial is gearing up to come in with a killing blow, and this could be an insane upset to start things off at the WCS Global Finals.
Yeah, but one mistake and it can all go wrong. That's a big stasis. If you talk about mistakes, a lot of these Marines are not going to participate in a battle. But I don't know if Stats has enough to just jump on this. I think he's going to have to wait. I love that SpeCial's bringing SCVs for missile turrets because the Oracle count is high. Tanks are going to get closer and closer. What is Stats going to do? Will he commit or?
Not with a shade like that over there. Okay, he's going to try to, I guess, go around and hit from two sides, maybe try to sandwich that, or at least stop the other units from reinforcing.
Yeah.
So he's still pushing it. Now, there's a decent distance here from the bases that he wants to push and the position that SpeCial has here. Now, he's going to come in here as well with these adepts. Let's see how prepared SpeCial is this time.
He actually left a couple of units behind. He's dealing with this quite all right. 11, 12 SCVs do go down. Yes, that hurts, but the push is still alive. Does a couple of force fields, cut a few Marines off. Stats sending more adepts across the map. Okay, that's a lot of adepts. I feel that SpeCial needs to step up the pace with his push. He needs to commit more because right now he's not getting anything done and Stats is buying a lot of time for himself.
Okay, he's committing right now. This is a lot of adepts. This needs to be cleaned up immediately here by SpeCial. SpeCial's army very softened up. We have Widow Mines coming in here to try to help out as the Marine and Marauder numbers do get lower and lower. But now the push comes over here. Lots of damage being dealt. That bunker almost finished up as we have a hard push coming from SpeCial.
He got the Mothership Core, so that means no overcharge. As soon as that overcharge runs out, there are still a couple of stasis wards out there. These tanks are getting closer and closer. The adept count is quite high, but SpeCial actually has much more army supply. I think this time Stats is going to go for it.
We have the adepts coming in now. They're being gunned down too quickly as the bunker lives through. This Immortal being taken out as well. Stats beginning to retreat. A scan here confirms the position that SpeCial is sure that he is in, but SpeCial is taken out. Backer in the back. Meanwhile, more reinforcements headed northbound towards this expansion.
I think SpeCial right now doesn't care. I think he just wants to win the game. There are more stasis wards being annoying, but stasis wards don't kill these units. That mineral line is incredibly exposed. The Stalkers that were just warped in, I'm not sure if he has Blink or not. That's a very risky warp in. with a couple of more units. Stats is going to try to make one last hold here, but can he kill the Liberators and the Widow Mines?
It's getting smaller and smaller army size here for the Protoss. As the Immortal tries to retreat, it's taken out as well. The Protoss army just doesn't have the sophistication there to take on the brunt of the Terran forces. Some Adepts coming here from behind, but also soaking up a lot of mine hits as finally SpeCial has breached this location on the map and will take this Nexus out, making it 2 base versus 2 base.
Yeah, because he lost his own command center as well. The Adepts did a decent job in picking off a couple of these mines, but does Stats have enough units? He's just running so incredibly low. I don't see anything. He's going to warp in a couple of Stalkers, but normally SpeCial should be able to end the game with this push, and that would be one hell of an upset to start this WCS Global Finals.
He's getting closer and closer. He's unpowered now, the Robo, and that's going to be it. GG! SpeCial does it. Our first series in the WCS Global Finals is an upset.
That was a crazy series, Tasteless. That last game was very scrappy, very messy, but the